and thanks for joining. We'll just wait a little bit, but before we actually make the big start. But before I do, thank you for joining. And as you may be aware, by joining, you are indeed, in fact, entitled to a Cisco T-shirt. You will be contacted after this webinar, just to get T-shirt sizes or confirm, again, mailing addresses and so forth. So just be aware that you will receive those in the mail. But again, thank you for joining today's call. Effectively, we're going to be going over Cisco Cloud Mailbox Defense, or also now known as Cisco Secure Email Cloud Mailbox. Now, this is a really great email security tool and solution. It really is. In fact, it changes things a lot in how perimeter defense works, and especially around email protection. And I'm really looking forward to hearing what Bradley talks about in regarding this new solution from Cisco. Now, for the agenda today, outside of obviously the introduction, we've got the actual demo of the actual solution as well. And now, if you are on this call and you want to actually partake of this kind of lab component, which will be Bradley will be taking everyone through, please be aware that you will need access to Cisco D Cloud. Now, if you do have access to dCloud already and just haven't used it for a while, now is probably the perfect time to actually go in, reset your details, and just make sure you have access to that. Otherwise, if you don't have it, just go over and get access to Cisco dCloud and start doing the setup. It's fairly easy to get the integration between dCloud and Office 365 happening. Apparently the wizard is fairly seamless in being able to do that. So feel free to. Otherwise, Bradley will be taking everyone through it himself as well. So if you don't have access to dCloud, or you don't feel like you can kind of rush around and get there, that's okay. Bradley will take you through the actual demonstration himself. However, if you do have access to Cisco dCloud, best make sure that you can actually utilize it, so that way you can be very hands-on yourself. And after we go through the information about the secure email cloud mailbox, and as well as the demonstration of that, we'll go into how you can actually purchase this on the Ingram Micro Cloud Marketplace as well. So with that said, I'd like to introduce Bradley Ensis, who will be the one taking us through today and taking us through again, Cloud Mailbox Defense, or again, Cloud Secure email, and then cloud. It's a bit of a mouthful, but again, I'm really excited to have you guys all on, because this is a really fantastic email security solution. So I'll pass it over to you, Brad. But thank you so much for taking us through this really great solution.
Thanks, Brett. So just while I'm getting my screen up, I did actually drop the link to the dCloud demo for, I'm just going to call it CMD, into the chat window. So hopefully, if you do have dCloud access, then go ahead and make sure you can access that link, because certainly you'll be able to get some hands-on experience with it as well. So what I'm going to be talking about today is going through some recommendations for email security in 2021. And then discussing how that applies to Office 365 customers, because that's really the focus of what we're talking about today. And then we'll do a bit of an introduction to Cloud Mailbox Defense. So why would you actually look at using it? There's a couple of large use cases here. What it actually is, how you actually use it, and then probably most importantly is how to position it. Because certainly I think one of the areas where a lot of people just get a little confused is, when do I use a traditional gateway? When do I use one of these new, integrated type solutions? And, Gartner, loved them, probably made it a little bit more complicated when they started calling these, CESS solutions, or Cloud Email Supplemental Security solutions. And that's, basically how they're using to, or what they're using to, label these new, more integrated type solutions. And then we'll finish with the hands-on lab. So as Brett was saying, there's 9 different scenarios in the lab to run through. Realize that not everybody on here is going to have dCloud access, but certainly for those that do have dcloud access, then and you want to run through it yourself, then I'll get you started there. And then for the rest of us, we can certainly, I'll take you through the actual lab itself, and that will obviously demonstrate CMD. But those resources are there available for you. All right. First of all, Cisco, in terms of email security, one of the problems working at Cisco is we have too many great products. I'm an email security specialist, so obviously I only want to talk about email security. And a lot of people, I think, and a lot of Cisco people as well, sort of forget where we are in terms of the market, for secure email. So Frost & Sullivan last year, and in fact we've just found out we've won it again this year. We are the leading email security vendor in Asia Pacific. Now, a lot of this is not only because of the innovation in the products over 20 years, of innovation now, and historically the iron products, but also the size of our customer base in Asia Pacific, which is fantastic, and a lot of it is actually driven by on-premise customers. Not every single customer can go to the cloud. Now, today we're talking about cloud and cloud computing, etc., but certainly a lot of customers that might have regulatory compliance requirements or restrictions, stay with the on-prem solutions. And from a Cisco viewpoint, we're feature compatible between the on-premise solutions or our enterprise cloud service. The service we're talking about today, Cloud Mailbox. So I'm not going to go through all of these, but there are 6 main solutions in our secure email solution set. The one we're going to be concentrating today is number 2. CMD, see, I'm still calling it CMD, or Cloud Mailbox. And as Brett was trying to say, Cisco Secure Cloud Mailbox doesn't sort of roll off the tongue quite as well as just CMD does. But that's the solution we'll be talking about today. The first one here, CES ESA, that's our enterprise, full FTP gateway-based solutions, 20 years of innovation. This is what we're, best known for. And then number 3, email, advanced malware protection. If you're been hanging around Cisco for a little while, I'm sure you've heard of AMP. This is, the file reputation and threat grid sandboxing technology. We believe it's so important now for email that we've now included it into, all the secure email licenses, and it's already part of CMD. Down the bottom, security awareness training. This is our cyber security education and phishing simulation suite. So that's where obviously, you're building a security awareness program, inside your organizations. We actually, this is an area of a lot of interest for customers at the moment, and customers are really looking for partners to help them manage this process. So we're certainly seeing a lot of success here with partners stepping up and doing, or running security awareness as a managed service to customers. And then number 5 and 6, for those customers that are particularly targeted with very advanced, complicated phishing campaigns, then email phishing defense, or APP as we used to call it, certainly can help supplement the base gateway capabilities. And then finally, we've got the DMARC reporting toolset. Here's another area actually that we see a lot of partners, having a lot of success in running this as a managed service to customers. DMARC, when you start talking about DMARC to most people, they start, glazing over a bit. It can get a little complicated. But using a tool set like this just simplifies it so much, has all the tools and workflows, etc., to become DMARC compliant, and it helps you stay DMARC compliant along with all the reporting as well, of course. All right, so let's move into the first section, talking about email security recommendations for 2021. So first of all, where we're seeing the market going at the moment. Just some stats here. It won't be any great surprise that the vast majority of organizations today are using cloud email services, to provide email security capability. Half of organizations that are using Office 365, the analysts are saying, you do need to seriously look at, supplementing, the base Office 365 capabilities with security tools, and they reckon over half of them will be doing that. And then the other one that's really started to pick up just recently is intra-domain or internal email scanning. And certainly, we're going to talk about a couple of attacks. Account takeover will be the first one. And that's driving a lot of this requirement around the internal email scanning requirement. They're saying 63% in several years' time, certainly in Asia Pacific, this is very, very low right now. So a lot of people aren't thinking too much about this at the moment, but certainly will be something they need to start allowing for in the future. In terms of attacks that we're seeing, I talk about a couple of the most common attacks that we're seeing in email today. Technically, probably the most concerning one is account takeover. So this is where, for example, an Office 365 or a G Suite, customer, they lose control of, users' email accounts. And then, obviously the attacker can send, malicious campaigns or malware, etc., from those internal email accounts. And, once they're doing that, when they're distributing that sort of content, now it's an internal, email that's actually being used to distribute it. And that's, one of the big drivers for internal email scanning. Not many organizations at the moment are doing that. And we've certainly seen, we'll talk about BEC next, business email compromise. And we've certainly seen, account takeover. The whole idea of business email compromise is you make the email look like it's from the senior executive, but you are still sending it externally. If the senior executive has lost control of their email account, then of course the attacker can send the BEC campaign internally, and it obviously is a lot more successful. There was a really interesting Talos blog, Talos Threat Intelligence, which is Cisco's main threat intelligence lab. They had a really interesting blog around the Velit family of malware, and that's where basically an attacker would come into the organization, obviously with that compromised account, and then use that to distribute malware. So they were using email to distribute the Velit email family by taking over a email trail with lots of people on it and just replying all, and then adding a malicious Word document to that. So they were using email to attack Exchange servers, which was kind of interesting, but certainly a big issue today. How can you address this issue? Obviously, making sure your email gateway is up to date and properly configured. For example, we see a lot of executive name spoofing lists that are not completely set up or not configured correctly. Make sure you're up to date and configured properly. Certainly, supplementary advanced phishing detection solutions like APP can help here if required, but make sure the base gateway is up to date first, and start thinking about how you can enhance the scanning of that internal email. Deploying multi-factor authentication like Cisco's Duo solution. Obviously, the attacker is not going to have that additional factor. So that's how you can get control of those accounts back again by deploying multi-factor. But just be aware, not every email account has a human behind it to interact with multi-factor. So you can't solve everything with multi-factor. All right, let's talk about business email compromise. This has been around for several years now. This would be financially the most damaging attack that we're seeing in email security right now. There's just millions and millions being lost. I mean, in 2019, in Australia, 85 million was tracked by the government cybercrime organization as being lost purely through BEC. I talk to organizations all the time. A small engineering company in Southwest Sydney impacted with BEC, they lost $85,000. For them, that was a massive impact to their organization. And certainly, customers need to be aware of this. So this, what happens, email comes in, note a good example there at the bottom. So it's coming in from an external account. Obviously a lot more effective if they've already taken over one of your accounts, like an account takeover, and send it. Low volumes, very targeted, typically no attachment or embedded URL. And there's always a sense of urgency. So they're using social engineering techniques, looking like it's from a senior person going to, an accounts payable clerk or a payroll administrator or something like that. And of course, they want to try and help the senior person, sense of urgency. So typically they say, oh, well, normally you have to fill out this form, but I'll just do it for you. That's exactly how these things are successful. So business email compromise, big issue for a lot of organizations. And we're seeing a lot of localized BEC now. So, for example, in Indonesia, BEC set in Bahasa, the local language. So, it is certainly a consistent issue here. Making sure, obviously, your email gateway is up to date and properly configured, especially for BEC. There's a lot of capability in those email gateways to do that. Again, these supplementary phishing detection technologies can certainly help here. But the other part of this is, we can't solve this with technology alone. So end user security awareness programs that definitely have a big part to play here. And we see a lot of success with organizations having the right mixture of investment between technology and end user awareness. And for many organizations, this is becoming a requirement for running their businesses now. So certainly, this is exactly where Cisco's secure awareness training, suite comes into play. All right, so just to finish this off, we put together a bit of a list of different recommendations in 2021. There's a link to a blog there that I wrote that drills into each of these. I won't go into them in detail now, but what this material is really designed for, and there's a white paper and a scoring sheet coming, but it's really designed, for example, for a partner to go out and do an evaluation of a customer's current email security solution. And then, measure it or score it against these recommendations, and then talk to actually understand the customer's business and work out what are the priorities in here, what's more important, and how much of a driver is internal email scanning versus user awareness training or bidirectional SecOps integration, for example. So, as you're, coming into this and you're scoring it, so you work out what the current solution is, how well that sort of scores, work out what the priorities for the business are, then obviously it builds you a bit of a gap as to where that business needs to go in terms of secure email for the next few years. And then, of course, you can use the same scoring mechanism to score Cisco or any of the other great vendors in the marketplace. So it really helps you understand and evaluate what a customer is doing right now and where they need to go in the future. And I've seen partners turning this into very good consulting revenue, or really building up their relationship with customers by doing this sort of thought leadership work with the customer. So more than happy to help you with any of that. All right, so let's talk about Office 365 customers, and that's certainly going to be the aim today. So those email recommendations for 2021, how do they apply to Office 365 customers? So if you're talking about Office 365 E1 or E3, I know there's lots of different Microsoft licensing, but if you unravel all of that, it really comes back to E1, E3, or E5. E1 and E3 by themselves, pretty basic spam, detection engine. There's no control there for BEC or advanced phishing. Only scanning for known email attachments. There's no scanning there for unknown. There's no cloud sandboxing or anything in those base products. And very rudimentary internal email scanning, no capability anywhere else. So a lot of customers sort of think, well, okay, I need to add Defender P1, or as it was previously known, ATP Plan 1. What does that add for me? So it does add some phishing capability, which is good. Also adds cloud sandboxing for unknown attachments, which is good, and also now coverage for embedded URLs. That was one of the biggest issues with E1 and E3 running by itself. No coverage for any embedded URLs, no URL scanning, no rewriting, no nothing, and that's a massive hole. So certainly, plugs some of those holes, improves others. But certainly, I think when you look at CMD down the bottom here, CMD is actually priced the same as Defender P1, but it has so much more capability than P1 by itself that it makes a really good option for Office 365 customers. Okay, so let's talk about Cloud Mailbox and why customers are seeing the requirement for it. So first of all, this is looking at the security team top challenges. So the top challenges for them, the complexity of threat and detection, followed by the complexity of the environment, responding to new threats. Response takes too much time. Reporting to execs is difficult, and for most of them, it's probably a part-time job. Detection is always job number one in what they're doing. And for the customer, they only really get to the beginning of this. So the administrators themselves, obviously, often tasked with security as an add-on to everything else they do. So they're not a full-time security person, and certainly unlikely to be a full-time email security person as well. So their environment's constantly changing, new security solutions coming in, just adds to the workload and the stress that they're under. So certainly they don't need any additional issues here at all. And most organizations, going to Office 365, there's a lot of benefits. No more Exchange upgrades. It's a lot simpler. It's easier to license, and it's a great option for lots and lots of customers. I mean, Cisco, we're an E3 customer. Most organizations, are certainly looking at going in this direction. But where they start falling short, and you saw that in the email recommendations, is the actual detection technologies and the email security pieces of Office 365. So most of them just need to work out how they're going to enhance that catch rate. Because going from an existing email security solution to Office 365, one of the biggest impacts we see is actually at the help desk, because suddenly, you've changed the actual spam detection engine. Most of the leading, email security vendors do a pretty good job, and now you've changed it to, the Office 365 embedded spam engine with no additional gateway or anything. Suddenly, users are seeing 1 or 2 emails, spam emails, in their inboxes, and they can't remember what to do, so they call the help desk. Unfortunately, it happens to all the users all at the same time, and all of a sudden, your help desk, which is probably part-time people, is suddenly under a lot of stress. But it's more than just about scanning for more threats. So customers are looking for not only to improve the catch rate of Office 365, but also to try and get help with the actual tools within Office 365. So I've actually got a use case in a second, which will actually take you through that and explain where CMD can really help add a lot of capability to customers. So Cloud Mailbox, 3 main, high-level pieces here: simplicity, visibility, and integration. So in terms of simplicity, Brett actually mentioned this right at the beginning. It takes minutes to actually integrate Cloud Mailbox into an environment. It's a risk-free deployment. There's no changes to MX records. Basically, we're setting up a journaling interface to feed messages to Cloud Mailbox. And then if you're going to do remediation as well, then we need to do the integration back into the Office 365 API. And that's all done through a very simple wizard within Cloud Mailbox that asks you for the right credentials. So very quick to get up and going. And as you see in the demo, very quick to start seeing value out of the solution. So it's a fantastic security solution in terms of ease of use to get it up and going, and very simple to use. In terms of visibility, one of the great things about Cloud Mailbox, if you compare it to maybe one of our traditional gateway type technologies, is we see all messages because it's fed using a journaling interface. That journaling interface will send incoming email, outgoing email, as well as internal email. So this is where we start actually having a solution for scanning internal email messages, which is great. And then in terms of integration, obviously Telos threat intelligence updates is really the secret sauce behind not only Cisco's secure email solutions, but a lot of the Cisco security solutions that we have. Integration into the actual Microsoft Graph API, and also SecureX has just been launched. So for those partners that have been playing with SecureX, which is an awesome platform all by itself, then CMD also now has been released for with SecureX support, which is awesome. So with the traditional email gateway, an SMTP-based gateway, you have to change the MX record. But because it's internet facing, there's a lot of advantages there. 20 years of innovation, very advanced reporting and policy engines, enterprise class security engines within the actual product itself. But because it's an SMTP server, it's only seeing inbound and outbound messages. So, doesn't have any coverage for internal messages. And this is where Cloud, I'm going to trip over this name. This is where CMD, Cloud Mailbox, comes in, being able to see all messages, including inbound, outbound, as well as internal, really closes off that gap and helps you meet those recommendations we have for email security in 2021. And it really gives you that complete insight across all email flows. Now you'll see this report actually in the actual demo, but you're able to see one of the really cool things about CMD is this conversation mode. And what we can actually do is we see the full visibility of the email being flowed through the actual organization. Inside, when you see it coming into the organization, you see it going out of the organization, and you can really see where that email threat is actually going. Very quick to see the that added protection by Cloud Mailbox. We have full visibility there, and we can show you and highlight what we're seeing over and above the Microsoft engines, and also help you quickly identify internal users that are at high risk targets. Now, we talked about this rapid integrated response. So, when a malicious email is delivered, the longer it is sitting in a user's inbox, then the more risky it actually is. The longer it's sitting there, then the more likely that user is actually going to click on a link or open an attachment or do something with that message. So the longer it's there, then the initial remediation window, that's where you need to cover it. So the longer it's there, then the more dangerous that email will be inside those inboxes. So as it's coming in, your scope of remediation for the initial mailboxes, obviously the sooner you can catch it, then the easier it's going to be to catch it and stop it, and the less mailboxes you're going to have to worry about, because as the user starts clicking on it, might start forwarding the email around, suddenly your scope of infection has got a lot bigger, and then they might be sending it out of the organization, and that's where you start having issues around compromised accounts and all sorts of issues. So it's all about trying to make sure you can stop this threat as early as possible as part of the actual infection. So let's talk about a common use case example. So we've got a phishing email. So a phishing link has been reported by a user. As the admin, IT admin / security guy, what I need to know is who else received this link. Has it been sent from additional senders? Was it the same subject? I need to know how widely this has been distributed within my organization. And then what do I want to do with that? Well, basically, I need to remove that link from all inboxes, regardless of who sent it and regardless of the actual subject. That's what I need to, obviously act on very quickly, because the sooner I can act on it, then the smaller the problem will actually be. So this is actually how you do it with the Microsoft tools only. So if you're running Office 365 by itself, then you start off a new message trace. So you have to search on senders and recipients. You can't search by the subject or the actual URL itself. This can be very slow to come back. We've seen customers sort of give up after 24 to 48 hours, trying to get the information back. And of course, that's a very extended dwell time for that attack to be sitting in inboxes. That will generate a report, and then from that report, you have to get the message IDs and then add them to a PowerShell script. So you have to get down and dirty in the command line to write a PowerShell script and remediate those messages back out of the actual mailbox. So certainly not a very fast action to take at all. This is what it looks like in Cloud Mailbox. Now we can search for any message detail. So in that simple message screen at the top there, you can see I'm searching on a URL, and the results will come back in seconds. And you'll see this when you actually go through the Handson lab. I can select the messages that I need to remediate, and I can immediately take care of those messages out of the actual user's inbox immediately. I can move them to junk, I can move them to trash, I can move them to the inbox. So very quick to take those remediation actions. Now, one thing to actually highlight here is we can see the remediation actions here: move to junk, move to trash, move to inbox. Now, we won't see those in the dCloud demo environment because we're a read-only user within that environment. So that's where we need to be aware that those remediation actions will be available in a full version of this product. So the total time to remediate from here is in seconds, not in minutes or hours. So certainly, the two big use cases of Cloud Mailbox is certainly around not only improving the catch rate of Office 365, but also providing a really easy, fast, to use email administration tools. So how to position Cloud Mailbox? So this slide really, at the top here, we've got our traditional gateways. So this is the SMTP gateway where you need to change the MX record, pointing to in our case it would be CES or Cisco Cloud Email Security, running inline before Office 365, scanning all that email, taking an action. If email is appropriate, then we'll deliver it to the actual user. Down the bottom, this is where Cloud Mailbox is quite a bit different. So the MX record is unchanged. So Office 365 is still internet facing. Your MX record points to Office 365. There's no changes required there. All you do to feed messages into Cloud Mailbox is set up a journaling connection, which is very common in Office 365. It's also the same way they do email archiving. So setting that journal connection then gives us the feed of messages coming into Cloud Mailbox. We're not in line, we're scanning them in parallel as Office 365 is also processing that message. Now, if we want to take remediation actions, like we want to shift the email out of the user's inbox, for example, that's where we integrate in with the Graph API, which is the standard API in Office 365 to take those remediation actions that you saw on the last slide. So this is really architecturally the big difference between Cloud Mailbox and these supplemental security type solutions and the sort of more traditional SMTP based gateway. So when you're using those SMTP gateway solutions, I mean, the benefits of those, they've been around for a long time. They're very highly developed. They're very customizable, very extensive policy engines. Well, certainly Cisco's is. You can do, support external threat feeds. There's very extensive management tools, within those products. But it also has some drawbacks, right? It is a more complicated deployment. It does bypass Microsoft security because it's not internet facing, but I would certainly say that Cisco's internet facing security is far superior to what you have in Office 365 anyway. And it can't scan internal messages because it's running as an SMTP server. So how do you decide between CMD or CES? So some very, very simple decision maps here. So first of all, does your customer run their mailboxes in the cloud? If they don't, then obviously their on-prem is probably what they're going to be looking at. If they are running mailboxes in the cloud, are they deployed in Office 365? At the moment, CMD Cloud Mailbox only supports Office 365. G Suite support is coming, but that's a little way down the road. So certainly today only supports Office 365. So if they're not running Office 365, then the full CES product from Cisco would be the option to go with. Now, if they are running Office 365 and they don't need granular control over email policies, for example, they can achieve all the email policy requirements using the default policy engine in Office 365. They don't need a gateway sitting in front. They don't need any of the advanced reporting, all that sort of stuff. Then CMD is a great option for that customer. Maybe also looking at selling security awareness, as a upsell opportunity. If they do need that granular control, they need all the advanced email policies, they need all the advanced reporting and all that sort of stuff, then Cisco's CES solution or Cloud Email Security would be the right option, and certainly look at upselling Cloud Mailbox for internal email scanning in that instance. And we have free 30-day trials, obviously, of all our solutions. Some other thoughts here. So, perfect targets for CMD. If they do not have a secure email gateway at the moment, they just need more efficacy or more catch rate. They have limited technical staff, so they need an easy-to-use, simple solution. CMD is great options for those. If they're an E1 or E3 customer looking at, Advanced Threat Protection 1 or ATP Plan 1, or now called Defender Plan 1 or Defender P1, should I say, from Microsoft, then CMD is a great option here as well because it's priced the same as Defender P1, but it has a lot more capability in it that we'll see on the next slide. If they really want to prioritize simplicity and ease of use, then obviously those management tools in CMD, and you'll get to play with those in a second, make a lot of sense. If they need the visibility of all messages with easy tools, they need to do that incident response, as in the use case I just showed you, then CMD is a great option for them. Now, I won't go through this, but certainly we can share these slides with you after this event, so you can have this information, obviously. These are a bit of a feature comparison between Cloud Mailbox, more traditional email security and ESA solutions, and then also the supplementary phishing and DMARC reporting tool sets that we have as well. So this is kind of where they all sit. So just to sum this up, if a customer is targeting Cloud Mailbox, then they've probably got a smaller team, or they're a larger organization looking for that internal email coverage. They have no on-premise mailboxes because obviously Cloud Mailbox only supports Office 365, and they want that incremental security over the base offering there from Microsoft, and maybe they don't really want to make those changes to the MX records. Cloud Gateway, the full gateway solution, it's an enterprise class solution with lots and lots of features. So it is can be complex to use. So certainly dedicated security personnel will get to know and get the most out of those types of solutions. They need, those advanced enterprise features. They're heavily reliant on compliance. Obviously, big drivers there for DLP and encryption, which is built into the cloud gateway. And they're more than happy to make MX record changes, which is obviously required when you're running those SMTP based products. All right, so just to sum this up, the key takeaways here, cloud mailboxes, for all Microsoft 365 customers, E3, E1 or E3 customers being the easiest targets because they have the most gaps, in their current coverage. Licensing starts at a single user and includes deployment, onboarding, and 24/7 tax support. And you can really drive or use CMD to drive the profitability of those Office 365 deals. Opens the door to a Cisco EA or ELA. Cloud Mailbox is supported within those, which is awesome. You don't need any special security certifications to sell Cloud Mailbox, and you can seriously get it up and going within 60 seconds. If you've seen it before, maybe 2 minutes. If you haven't seen it before, it is really that simple, and NFR licenses are available, and we have a special offer for those attendees here today. Lots of different, support and custom sentiments coming in on Cloud Mailbox. We released it about a year and a bit ago, and certainly it's come a long way. We're seeing it's really starting to take off now as an option. I think initially when we first released it, a lot of people were still sort of confused about, where do I run a full gateway? Where do I run CMD? Do I run both? And certainly I think that's now starting to sort of settle down and people understand where these solutions are sitting. So, lots of great feedback here from customers. All right, and I'll just sit on this slide. Now we're at the part of the hands-on lab. So I have the link there to the actual CMD demo within dCloud, which I'm about to actually go into myself and show you. So if you do have dCloud access, please go and hit that link and get to the actual CMD Cloud Mailbox. This is the list of 9 different scenarios that we'll actually be going through. So
hey Bradley, it's Anthony here. I'm just checking. So that link is also in the chat, isn't it? So we can click on that link in the chat, everyone. Thank you.
Yep. So if you've got dCloud access, click on that link and you'll get to the actual CMD demonstration instance. And then these are the scenarios that we'll be going to. So just before we get to that, so all attending partner companies that are on the webinar today, Cisco is offering you a free 12-month NFR. That's a full copy of CMD that you can use internally in your organizations. All you need to do is request an eval at that link, or we can help you obviously with that. And then once you've got that eval up and going, let us know and we'll convert that to a full 12-month license. And then from then on, basically, within that 12-month period, if you sell CMD to a customer, do a renewal or something like that around CMD, then we'll give you another 12 months. So, you can really starting to encourage you to run this technology for your own organizations. Obviously, you'll need to be running Office 365, but certainly, that NFR is available. And all the attendees, from today also get a t-shirt. I'm pretty sure we collected your t-shirt size at the beginning. I do have up to 2XL, so we'll certainly be getting those out to you straight after the session. So with that, let me just stop here and go into the actual demonstration environment. And of course, it's logged me out. So this is dCloud. So if you've logged into dCloud, and use that link, then that will send you here. So let me just copy this link again and copy it into the chat because I think there was someone there that couldn't see it. Okay, hopefully you can see it now in the chat window. All right, so basically we'll be following this instant demo guide. And the instant demo guide, basically PDF, when you expand it, why do these things always come up so large? Okay, so basically through the actual guide, you've got these different scenarios, and these are the actual scenarios we'll actually be going through. So if you have access to dCloud, now's the time to fire it up, grab a copy of the actual demo guide from the resources section on dCloud, and then you can start following your nose through here, obviously through the Q&A panel. Let us know if you're having any issues with that. But basically, very in-depth instructions about moving through that. And this is also a great demo environment, to give customers. Okay, so So for those that don't have access to dCloud, I'll actually go through those scenarios now. So probably leave the others behind because I use it all the time, so you get to know it a bit better. So this is the main base window you'll get when you actually log into CMD. So from here, I have my very flexible search box. So you can search for anything under here. It's kind of like a Google search bar. So URLs, subject lines, IPs, whatever you like. It's all you can search for those in the generic search box. And then I have some high-level reports sitting in here. We'll get into those a little bit later, but any of these, if you click on it, that'll actually take you to the report itself. Let's start off by going into the policy settings. So in terms of policy settings themselves, the permission mode, audit versus audit with enforcement. Audit, this is like a read-only type version. Now, the reason why these are grayed out for me is because in dCloud, I'm not, I'm a read-only user. So that's why all these are grayed out and I can't change anything. This is what it would look like for you. If you come in and also run the dCloud demo, it would look exactly the same as what I'm seeing because I'm running the same thing. If you request, the eval, on CMD and obviously use that in your environment, you'll be able to obviously be a full admin and you'll be able to use the full product. So certainly recommend that you do that, after you've had to play with this. So audit is a read-only environment. So all we're doing is seeing getting a feed of the messages from Office 365. We're not taking any remediation action on those. Audit with enforcement, that kicks off the integration into the Graph API, and that's where, obviously we can do that remediation as well. In terms of message analysis, incoming, outgoing, internal. So select the types of messages that we want to analyze here, and then also attachment analysis. So, we A&P, advanced malware protection, threat grid, etc., is all built into CMD. It's all included. You don't have to pay anything extra. What types of email am I going to be submitting files up to threat grid for cloud sandboxing analysis? So that's what I can select through there. Remediation actions, so what to do when I find a malicious message, phishing, spam, grey mail. These are the actions, and obviously I can choose to move to trash, move to junk, or take no action. And then also in terms of automated remediation, these were the domains that picked up when we first did the integration. I can always click on this update imported domains, and that will connect through the actual API and download a list of any other domains that we can find within your Office 365 tenancy, and then we can basically select which ones we want to use automated remediation on. So in terms of policy, very simple, very straightforward. If I go back to this, the home button here, you can search on things that are pretty easy. So if I search on messages that have been sent to park staff, search on that, and it takes me to the messages screen, and I see all the emails very quickly that have been sent to park staff. Okay, I can clear that, and I can just search for all messages. So these are basically all messages that have previously been seen. I can search for the last 24 hours. I can search for the last 30 days. I can see them all coming in here. So what I'm seeing here is the verdict. So if it's been spam, grey mail, phishing, etc., that's the verdict of the actual message that we've been processing. And if there was any action taken, then this shield here means it's auto remediated. So the shield is where we've been automatically moving messages out of users' inboxes. The timer here has been a retrospective verdict. So that's where if we processed it initially and it looked clean, threat grid will actually scan messages every hour on the hour for 7 days after we initially scan it. And if we retrospectively decide that it's actually malicious, then we can automatically take out our users' inboxes at that stage. But that's when you'll see the actual timer click here. And then if it's been in a Microsoft allow list, so if they've whitelisted it in Microsoft, but we still think it's malicious, that's definitely concerning. Then you'll see that verdict come up here as well. So receive, who the sender was, the recipients, the subject, and then I can see whether it was incoming, outgoing, internal, or mixed, and you can see all those options here. Then for the attachments and URLs, if I drop this box down here, then I can see all the URLs that are actually extracted from the actual message. Now you can see here SecureX and CTR integration already. So if I drop this down, this is where I'm integrating into SecureX, and I can see here verdicts from Telos. I can actually investigate the threat response. So direct integration into CTR now. I can create a judgment in advanced malware protection, and we'll search for that on Telos Intelligence. So that's where it's now integrating into SecureX, and you can even see the SecureX banner down the bottom here. Now, this demo environment is not integrated into SecureX right now, so that's why we're not really seeing much, but it's ready to go, once you've got your environment up and going. So those are the links. If I go and find an email that's got some attachments, like this one, then see, attachments here. And again, I can drop this down and I can start investigating threat response. Go and see, here's the SHA of the file. I can add it to a new case in SecureX. All very, very cool. That we've done all the integration in here, which is really neat. All right, so if I come up the top and I go and click on these three buttons here, I can see the timeline. So here, this is not a very interesting one. Let's go and find something a bit more interesting. So let's choose this one. So here the email's been coming in from this sender. Here's the actual sending IPs, etc. I can see different link information about it. CMD thinks it's it's spam, so it's been an automatic verdict, and we've automatically moved it to the junk folder. So that email got through Office 365. Office 365 thought it was fine, so it's delivered it to the end user. As we've been scanning it in parallel with Cloud Mailbox, we've decided that it's actually spam, and we've taken remediation action on that particular message. So that's where you can see those, from that timeline view, which is really cool. The other neat thing I can do here is I can download this information. So I can come in here and I can create a download file of, I can't do 10,000 messages. Let's go through and actually change my search. So if I bring this window out, I can basically say, let's just choose malicious email, and let's just choose maybe internal malicious email. So let's search on that. You can see the results come back here very quickly, and that's where I can actually come in. And if I wanted to, for example, create a CSV file, maybe upload that to my SIEM or something like that. If obviously you can do it via SecureX, but if you want to do it manually, then you can download that CSV file and see that all the results coming up there. I can also come in here, to the search screen. I can choose all sorts of different messages. I'm just going to go through and choose all the direction now, and malicious. So let's search on those. You can see the results just come back so quickly. And then let's choose, let's look for messages that have Unix in the search window. I can see those here. So let's just collapse that back. So from here, I also have another cool thing I can do, which is a conversation view. So I mentioned this in the slides. What I can actually do here, if I start expanding these pluses, is I start seeing these messages and how they're actually coming into, moving around in my organization and going outside of my organization. And I can even see the verdicts here as well. So this message has come in to this user. They've basically forwarded to these users. It's had a detection here for being malicious, and I can see that sitting here. If I start expanding these, then I can see that I've discovered it as phishing as well as being malicious. So I can see it all here, and then I can see all the messages, all the list of the messages down here. And of course, I can export that out and use it for my further investigation if I want to. So that's the conversation view. Very cool. Okay, so that's the message search. If we finish off just by going through the trends, I've probably left those going through the Handson lab. Probably left you behind now, but you've got access to that now, so you can go and finish that at your time. If I go into the insights, I can see here messages by direction, so I can see outgoing, mixed, internal, incoming, and I can see the actual time slice. So I can go through, see those. If I click on this, this will actually take me through and give me a list of all those messages at that time. So I can see all that from my trends, and I can do that from any of the malicious and phishing, spam, grey mail. I can see it all within this window. The final thing I'll look at is the impact report. This is really, really cool. So if you're doing an evaluation for a customer, for example, this report will very quickly start showing them the value being added. I can see all the messages that are being malicious, phishing, spam, or grey mail. If I drill into it, it will actually take me to a list of all those messages very quickly. I can also see the traffic volumes by conviction. So I can see what's been malicious, what's been phishing, grey mail, spam over those time periods. And here I see my top targets of malicious and phishing messages. So the internal users who have been the top targets for malicious and phishing messages, and also which users might have been sending malicious or phishing messages from within the organization. So if you have users, maybe these accounts have been compromised in some way, or maybe the endpoint is compromised or infected, then you'll see them very quickly here. And then finally, the value added by Cloud Mailbox. So this is basically over and above, Office 365. So in the last, what's the time period we're looking at here? Last 30 days, we find 730 messages over and above, Office 365, 586 spam messages, phishing messages, grey mail messages. So very quickly you can see, what Cloud Mailbox, what value Cloud Mailbox is adding over and above, what we're seeing in Office 365. The final part of the actual demo is basically all around administration. And from here, I can see, the Microsoft 365 tenant ID. So this is the one that you'd actually, do the connection into. I can see the journaling address that we've used, the account, the business ID for Cloud Mailbox, and what your current licenses is. I can also see, notification emails going to this user. I can, download audit logs from certain periods, and this will basically tell you, if I download that, that will actually go through and tell me all the actual actions that have been taken for this user. I can obviously do my SecureX integration and also enable business analytics from Google. And then I have a list of all the users. If I was a read-write or a super admin, then I can go through and add my own users, to the actual environment. So that's where it's all sitting. And that's basically the overview and the demo of Cloud Mailbox.
Thanks, Bradley. There is a question that's come in from Caleb. Hi, how does this compare with Microsoft Defender for Office 365 Plan 1 and or Plan 2? What can this do above and beyond these services?
Absolutely. So if I go back to this slide, where is it? Sorry. Here we go. So here's Defender P1, Defender P2. So, if you're looking at ATP Plan 1, so CMD is priced the same as ATP Plan 1, or as we now know it as Defender P1. So it's priced the same. If you're looking at Defender P1, then it has, has a bit more phishing control than you have in the base product, but not a whole lot more. CMD has all the Cisco phishing detection engine in it. And if you're, been using, or if you've got a customer that's using our enterprise full gateway product, then you'll know that the phishing control there is pretty significant. Also in terms of, coverage, so email attachments, so we do no-one email scanning. ATP Plan 1, so that has cloud sandboxing. In CMD, we have file reputation support, as well as cloud sandboxing, as well as retrospective scanning. So it's, covers everything that ATP Plan 1 does, it just does it in a more enterprise class security engine. Embedded URLs, Defender P1 will go and do cloud sandboxing of selected URLs, not all of them. CMD, we actually have a lot of pre-filters before we send it to sandboxing, but we'll also send it to sandboxing if we need to. So that's basically how it compares with Defender P1.
Thanks, Bradley. I hope, Caleb, that answers your question. Bradley, a couple other questions. Is this, if I'm an MSP, is there any solutions today that I could be leveraging?
So from a managed service provider viewpoint, CMD, the underlying architecture is obviously multi-tenant, but not available as an MSP console just yet. So right now you would be, going in and out of different users' CMD environments to do the managed services for them. But certainly we do have multi-tenancy consoles, on the roadmap to be supported in the near future.
Thanks, Bradley. And then another question that's come through is any tips or best practices for doing a POV with a customer? How long should you do it for? How easy is it to set up?
Look, in terms of setup, it's going to take you 2 minutes to get it up and going. Like seriously, it is that quick. I mean, if you've set up journaling connections in Office 365 before, you'll find you'll be doing it in under 60 seconds. It's very simple to get up and going. Most POVs we see run for a couple of weeks to get those results in, but you can use that impact report at any time. So that very quickly, allows you to provide that result back to the actual customer. But don't just rely on that. Make sure you also show the customer, the tools that you can use to do, how easy the tools are to, find email and remediate and things like that. Some people just do auditing mode for POV, so it's like a read-only type mode, but there you won't be able to do that remediation. We obviously won't be doing any remediation, but you also won't be able to show them, those easy tools. So, we would recommend that you do audit with enforcement. Maybe turn off auto remediation if you want to. That at least would allow you to show that full tool set.
Thanks, Bradley. There's another question from Mike. Is non-profit pricing available for CMD?
We would need to look at that one. Not officially available, but I think talk to Ingram and us, and we can work something out. For those sorts of organisations.
Thank you. No other questions at this stage.
Awesome. Okay.
Right.
So
do you want to? Yep.
I'll hand it back to Brett.
Sounds like a plan.
There you go.
Right. Brilliant. There we are. Brilliant. Here we are. All right. Now I am conscious of time, but as you've seen, really, CMD is a very simple but powerful email security solution. And I have to admit, one thing that I really appreciated about it, aside from the simple setup, again, not having to play around with MX records, which is always a plus, is the fact that its post-delivery remediation is really powerful and really easy to use. So it's great for it is a really good solution for an Office 365 environment. Now, how to buy it, how to actually procure this solution? Well, as many of you know, this is available from the Ingram Micro Cloud Marketplace. So CMD is available on CMP. Pun. So basically, you can actually go through it, log in, and go to the security side. You'll find it there listed as Cisco Secure Email Cloud Mailbox. Again, you just select it and buy it as any other product, but please be aware that because this is a Cisco solution, you will need to get a DRAN first. So you'll see on your screen that there's a register for more info and next steps. That's so you can actually become a Cisco registered partner. Once you've actually got that registration, then you can come back here and go through the process. And so basically, once you've actually got that DRAN, your Cisco registered partner, you just go there, go to the solution. You'll see that there's a volume pricing available as well. Whereas if it's up to 99 seats, you get it's one pricing, but you can get cheaper pricing once you exceed 100 licenses. So again, you just add it to the cart, select how many you need to what you want to purchase, and then you select if you want to go up against a new customer or if you want to select an existing customer, and then you provide the details as needed. Now, once that's done, you will require to put that DRAN information in, which we spoke about before. So that's where it's needed. But once you've actually done that and provide any remaining other details, like you can see here, the process of, again, the provision process is quite simple. So once you've gotten to that stage, you've ordered it, it's a fairly automated process, particularly if you've got the DRAN up front and actually set it up, and away it should go. Now, if you are in a situation where you go and do the order before you get the DRAN, that's okay. It's possible to go into your Cloud Marketplace account, go to the reseller authorization, find the bit which talks about the Cisco Secure Email Cloud Mailbox, and once you're there, you'll be able to enter the DRAN in there. And once that's there, any pending orders regarding this will be basically will be able to be provisioned. So it's a fairly easy process, especially if you're used to buying things on Cloud Marketplace already. But the key is making sure that you register as a Cisco resident partner to begin with. Now, with that said, I'm sure that there's not really too much to ask about that part. But if you do have any questions regarding pricing or anything else, please do reach out to us. We do have a team of people who can answer any kind of queries that you may have. These are the details. You can see my details in the bottom right there as a cloud security vendor manager. But any questions at all, please let us know. But I would certainly encourage you to look at this solution again, especially if you're already selling Microsoft 365. This is a great solution to attach to that, which really, again, elevates the security that Microsoft already provides.
Thanks, Brett. Brett, there's a question. Last question: is the presentation and voice recording going to be available afterwards?
It will be. We will send off an email afterwards, as well as an email about the free T-shirts, just with the details concerning this webinar. So again, any information, further information, the recording of the webinar, and all of that will be provided.
One last question. Is there a license required for shared mailboxes? It's in the chat.
I can take that one. So no, there's not. CMD is licensed by the actual number of users using it. Those individual users can have as many mailboxes as they like.
Great. Thanks, Bradley. All right. With that said, I think since we're 1 minute past, we'll end it there. But thank you so much for attending. And again, check your emails because we will be sending out a post-webinar follow-up.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, everybody.